that I say to you, the last test, how much you have for the main question?
The first one is pretty well. The second one, I made a minor mistake.
Like the second one in the same test?
The second text, the second conversation. Like in the very few last sentence, talking about flu, and I translate that into something like instead of the kid getting filled with water, and I mean like the kid didn't get water and the kid being filled with water. You know, one is passive and the other active, and I interpret that the other way around. Là cháu đã được cho uống nước hay là cháu đã uống nước?
That's one. So you have a less mark than you're supposed to have.
Like I realized the question. I realized the mistake right away.
Oh, and
After
then
saying that.
Actually, what's wrong with this one? Did they lose something as well, or I just actually ask you with this one? So you. Oh, actually, but they missed something I did actually write before. Oh, yeah, here, that's fine. So you want to turn it off? Okay, so where is the other one? I'm just trying to start. Can I collect your one? Your writing? Did you write any of them? Or you just started?
You just started.
Oh, you need to have more of that one. When I wait for you to finish that one, you may have, so you read all of the ethics and everything in that. So after you do that, you know straight away that it's wrong.
Yeah, like cháu đã được cho uống nước chưa hay là cháu chưa được uống nước? Tức là cháu chưa uống nước, tức là cháu chịu động hay là cháu được cho uống nước?
Yeah, that's one. Actually, that's a very bad mistake. In Vietnamese, actually, you're going to have one mistake of that. You need to be very careful with passive voice in Vietnamese because Vietnamese doesn't have passive voice structure. So any sentence that you actually okay, any sentence that I go through all the slides, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is one. Any sentence that you have a passive voice in English, to translate into Vietnamese, you need to be exceptionally careful. There are something I need to mention. In Vietnamese, there are something called double subject structure. Double subject structure means like this. You say, this elephant, its tail is very long. Là con voi, cái voi rất dài. In English, you cannot translate two subjects. So in Vietnamese, it's very popular that they call them topic comment. Topic means you pick up one thing. A lot of Asian language have that. You pick up the comment, you pick up one topic, whatever topic you want, and then you comment on that. And Vietnamese actually have that with thì. You know, like, cái nhà này thì nghèo. So you use the word thì to cut the sentence in two parts, the topic and the comment. So when you do translation, that is where most of the problem happens because English don't have that structure. If any structure that the subject verb of English coincide with topic comment, you usually translate with no problem. But if the subject verb comment of English doesn't match with topic, sorry, I explained to you. Subject, you have topic, you have the topic comments. This is Vietnamese grammar. You think it's actually look like subject verb, but it's not. So if you say in Vietnamese, con voi này, this elephant, its tail is very long. They actually have two subjects. One subject, the first one, the topic, you talk about the elephant, and the comment is the tail of that elephant is short. So when you try to handle any sentence that have a T, that any structure that have this one, you need to be very careful. Number one, this structure, because English have only one subject verb. So usually you have to merge the two subjects, or you have to use relative pronoun, or you have to use some other techniques. The other thing that also important is passive voice. Vietnamese doesn't have passive voice. That's why you say like I was born and I delivered the baby with the same word. So Vietnamese don't have passive voice at all. And if you be careful when you use the được or bị, because that doesn't show passive voice sometimes. They just imply that it's an honor or it's they call them disaster marker of, it means it's a marker to show that your bad luck or your good luck là bị or được. It doesn't show that it's a passive voice like in English that you say tôi được. Usually it means good or a bad thing more than the fact that you are affected by somebody. It also implies that you are affected like tôi bị phạt or tôi bị đánh or tôi bị like tôi bị ho. You know tôi bị ho is not passive. It's active, is it? I have a cough, so be careful when you use that because that is before you do the translation, you must always know what the basic difference between English structure and your language. What's the difference? Because Vietnamese, the word order is very, they are similar a bit actually, but most of the time you have issue with translating because of that. Because your two system doesn't match at all. So here, if you look at this one, this is the mark. So you have the result. So if you see this one, okay, this is when you have the result of your test. This is how they actually mark. You have the two passage. Okay, like this is the example. Okay, usually you need to have a minimum 29 each. This one fail because you have under 29. And then you need to have a minimum mark 63. For these two have to get 63. For the ethics, you need to get 7. You need to actually have 5 over 10. 5 over 10 is okay, but sometimes if you just answer one wrong, usually you have a 4 because they never give you maximum for the other. That's why it's also very risky because you have only 2. And if one is correct, one is wrong, it means you fail. You don't have 50%, you have only 40% because they never give you 50% for one. And if it's wrong, that is already wrong. So this one totally you have 7 marks, and if you even have 17, but this one is 24, you also failed. If that one is under 29, you fail. The problem with translation is like this. They have 2 people marking, and these 2 people might have totally 2 different approach to word translation. If you have IELTS and the way they mark the writing, it's not much different because if you're English teacher and you look at the same text written in English, it's very clear that English is right. But translation, the problem is like this: one person can have very free translation, and one person have very flexible. What like I know that because one time I asked for one review. After I passed, I asked for a review of my exam. I just want to know how they mark. That's all. Because I get my T not because I get the degree, but because I take the test and I pass. So I really want to know how they have this thing. So you need to submit the money and you get the review. I think 100 something when I do that. So what happened is they show me it, and it's so funny. One of them I have a 42 and the other I have exactly 29. So I'm thank God, it's very lucky. And because they are totally 2 different, how come the same person translate? They have 2 different results. Because one, he fits even a full stop. A full stop wrong, then he marks them as mistake, and I show you the list of the mistake because they sent me this one. So this one, usually when they give you the command, they give a code. So for example, I'm gonna explain this later. What does that mean by all of this? So when they finish the whole report of how many marks, they will write the comment like this. Comments are normally provided by examiners, particularly in the case of failure. If you pass, they don't write a lot, but if you fail, they're gonna write by using a code as below. So like this. They write something, it means in your translation you make this mistake. So you really have to know what mistake you make. There was some significant distortion. Distortion means you translate too far away from the text. Mistranslation, mistranslation happen when you have a dictionary, and the dictionary, the meaning of the word is correct, it's not wrong. But when they put together into the sentence, it doesn't make sense, so you have to change. You have to change so that it fits your ear. You feel like it's natural. Some people, they accept that. Some people, they don't. Some people, they don't mind. They don't care about naturalness. They just care about the information conveyed. So if you try to translate them wrong, not wrong, but you translate in a way to make them flow natural, then usually it means you need to actually very concerned, like you're going to have a bad one. You have a grammatical errors. syntactical error. Syntactical error means the subject and the verb. Like you know the one you say like I was. I give it the child was fed with water, or the child drink the water by itself. That is syntactic error. Like you mix up passive and active when you translate. Spelling errors. This is I don't know why you have spelling error when you write Vietnamese. Actually, you need to be concerned as well because sometimes in the old day they write Vietnamese different. Like nghe, or sometimes you know the how can I say like thầy giáo, or they do have some word I can't remember. Like some words in Vietnamese now you write different from 30 years ago. You did actually like this sound. I say some of the sound. This one and this one. So when you do the writing, this or thầy, okay here. So you have sometimes they do like this, but sometimes they have this one. Like this, you understand? And it's counting if people are actually difficult. They count this as one spelling error. This one, so you
Like mistranslation, is it the same thing like word choices? I got comment on mark deduction by different word choice.
Yeah. Word choice is vocabulary. How you use vocabulary. Word choice is like when you tell me before. You know when you say Kim and you stop, you say Tim, or you say Kim and Tim is a word choice. Like when you make the word, it's all about translation. You pick up the word because the word have many layers. This is a rule. If you translate business technology, business politics, you have to pick up the literal meaning all the time. Literal meaning is the meaning, the first meaning in your dictionary. If you translate architect, arts, cultural, living, lifestyle, social behavior, children behavior, psychologists, you always can actually refer to the second or the third layer. It's like figurative level of meaning. So you usually have to check the dictionary in the second or the third. Because every dictionary, they have this one and 1, 2, 3 meanings. So you do the second or the third one. For business, medical technician, all the time. It's actually, I'll show you 2 books that you can look if you want to. These are the 2 books that are very good. Unless you're very serious, because actually my hope is they are very practical to read. Like actually a lot of your thing is actually from here, and I just get the one that I think normal human being can understand. You don't need to be PhD. Because I read these 2. So this one is a very good one. It's very good book because it shows you all the techniques. So all of your teaching today I give is actually from here. They give you all the technique and they use different languages. So I show you on the slide very soon how techniques you do. So if you need to buy the books and do this one, these 2. There are a lot of them that are theoretical, and I do believe for these things you practice. It makes you better. It's not actually learned. You just need to know 1 day or 2 days about the techniques. But when you really do things, then you know a lot more. So this is a mistake that when you need to avoid this because you will have severe problems with that. Okay, actually maybe you need to write it down because this is all the reason that you're gonna have a bad mistake. This one I don't print for you because this one I tell you the reason why I don't print. I don't mind print, but because I'm gonna have legal responsibility. So I don't mind give you the paper, I give you a lot, but there are some slides that I prefer you to write because if I print it out and they have my company logo, then it's gonna have issue. You know what I mean? The delicacy behind that. So you try to write because I will go through all of that. Significant omission means when you translate a sentence, okay, and you feel like there are a word that you're not comfortable, you cut one word. If you cut even one word, or the, or s, you know like s, like you say cats, like they have some language, you must have the word to say plural. Yeah. If you just omit that, it's carried one mistake. So actually in Vietnamese, sometimes I do translate and I take that because I feel it makes the sentence very heavy, like that or những or something like. But you can't. Even it's just an s, you can't omit them. If you cut one the, because the in English all makes sense. These, the, that, and the s. Plural or singular is usually you make this mistake. Singular, plural, you lose one case. They are accuracy. Significant mistranslation. As I said before, mistranslation is when the verb means one thing, like if you say to look for, and you translate them into to find, they are different. To look for and to find is not the same. You say similar, but it's not. If you translate look for become to find, you lose the 1 mark. Usually that is the level of mistake. If you look for and you translate into speak, then you're obviously not a translator. Usually your problem is just between the words very similar, like to look for and to find that are different. Do you know the difference? Or to discover and to invent. If you are at that level, that at least you can become translator. If you're lower than that, it means you never pass even how much I teach you. It means it's hard in that. It's hard when you have mixed and they very terrible. Like if you have like some words like I give you another one: to consume and to spend, to waste and to spend, to consume, to spend, to waste. They are very similar. Of fat or bees, chubby, like that. So when you translation, it is good or bad because of that. So when you do. And what is the hard text? The hard text is the one that push you a lot of time to choose the words. So when you do mid-translation, that is what I mean mid-translation. There are three different, very similar, but they are not. If for example, I give you significant and you translate into main, okay, the significant meanings of this word. And sometimes significant mean you have a lot of meaning, but sometimes significant mean main. So you need to decide which significant. In that situation, significant means important. Like she is a significant person in my life. But sometimes significant translate as main thing, the main, something main or something as priority. So you need to decide that because it's very delicacy. If you make mistake in that, they already call mistranslation. It's not that significant and you translate into poor and you have really rubbish translation. You're not at the level to do that. So you need to understand what does that mean. Here, this is very popular, especially for people who like to talk a lot or people who like explain a lot. Actually, I'm going to show you this one. Because after this, from the next half an hour, I teach you technique. Some technique is you need to insert. But if you insert correctly, then you also be penalized. Some translation you have to insert. What translation? When you have to translate a cultural concept that don't have in your country, you have to insert the explanation. I need to think which one is which one in English that you don't have gay marriage. Oh no, actually gay marriage is still okay. For example, which one that you don't have it in Vietnamese and you need to explain. For example, de facto. Okay, that is a good one. In Vietnamese, they do have the word, the equivalent for de facto marriage. You know de facto, and it's a very popular word in popular thing in Australia that you have a de facto, and de facto is totally legal here. When you say de facto here, they have nothing bad at all. They just mean it's a reality and it's a common law marriage. So they imply 100% normal. Like, but in Vietnam, when I just come here, for example, when I hear people say de facto, I don't like that. To be honest, I just think that it's something not very decent and not very legal marriage. I still have that bias in my brain because in Vietnam, when you say, because in Vietnam, the word like sống thử, it means experimenting, living together. Experimenting.